And Barnaby Joyce has been making headlines this week after opening up about his health.
Barnaby, you have revealed some news you've kept secret during the campaign, that you have been diagnosed with prostate cancer and will have an operation today. How are you?
Well, I feel fine, and I suppose that's the problem with prostate cancer. You don't feel bad. You go to the toilet a bit more than you should. I was very lucky. The Dr. Miriam Grakowski has insisted I get a PSA test, and she used to ring me up when I was on the road and say, why haven't you got that test? And I went and got it and said, well, bingo, it's elevated levels. So then you get an MRI and they check that and they say, yeah, there's something there. And then they get a biopsy and they say, yep, it's cancer, but you're lucky. It's early, it's early stages, but you've got to do something about it. So I waited till obviously after the election. I didn't want a big circus going on during the election, which inevitably would happen. And literally straight after this program, I'm going in the car and I've actually got a flat tyre. Can't help myself, can I? I've got a flat tyre in the truck, so I fixed that up. Then I'm going straight down the road and straight into surgery.
Yeah, look, Joyce has been praised. He's been widely praised for bringing attention to the subject of prostate cancer, but I couldn't help find the timing of his public statements suspicious. And look, when you look at that footage there, he does look a bit beaten down. So, this is a serious health issue. He's going to be fine. He's found it early enough. So we're not talking here about his actual health, but he has known about this for some time, but he chose 2 days after the election to go public. There was no mention of it during the campaign. Now, here's my question. Don't voters deserve to know if there are any health issues for the person they're voting for? Now, again, this isn't ultimately going to be a major issue, even though prostate cancer can be. He's found it soon enough. They're going to go in there and do the surgery. He's going to be fine by all accounts. But I just don't buy into this idea that politicians have a right to privacy in these terms. We vote for them based on their perceived values, and we should know if they're facing any health issues. Now, I posted my thoughts about this week on Facebook, saying, am I the only person who has a problem with Barnaby Joyce not declaring his health issues before the election? And I have to tell you, it looks like I'm in the minority, judging by the responses. Lindsay Hughes says, they say timing is everything. And indeed it is, Lindsay, and that's my point. He's not going to die. But don't the voters deserve to know if there are some health issues, especially with aging politicians? More people responded. Sarah Patterson said, no matter what you think of the bloke, he is going through a lot at the moment, very personal and private, but he's chosen to make it public to help others get tested. He could have chosen not to disclose it at all. Very true, Sarah, but I think he should have disclosed it, and that's the point. Doug Brown says, I'm of the opinion person's health is a personal and private matter that doesn't need to be shared by them, even people with a high public profile. Dee Madigan, who you'd know from the Gruen transfer, she actually makes a lot of campaign ads for Labor. Even she disagreed with me. She said, I reckon he has a right to privacy about his health. Rob Irwin says, my mind immediately goes to what's the sliding scale here? Should you disclose if you have a cold? No, that would be crazy. So let's throw that one on the end of the scale. Should you disclose if your doctor's giving you 3 months to live? Probably. So that goes up the other end. Although in that scenario, I don't think someone would be standing at all. My point being, what's the tipping point? When is one condition okay to keep private and one is not? Who decides that? I'm glad you asked, Rob. Judge Rob is here. McKnight will decide it. Here's the thing. I think, you're right, about a cold, but why not acknowledge a cold? We have a Prime Minister who couldn't even admit he fell off a stage. And this is the problem, right? We can't trust anything they say. I think getting surgery for prostate cancer is a big deal. And I think the electorate needed to know, because it would make them think he's probably going to be fine, and he can make that point. But gee, am I voting for someone who's going to be my elected representative still in 3 years' time, or is something going to happen? Again, no one expects Barnaby Joyce to die in the next 3 years. But don't we have the right to know if there are issues that could preclude him from doing that? And it's not the first time Barnaby's thought his private life should remain private. You might remember this Daily Telegraph headline, Bundle of Joyce, which divided the nation and politicians and journalists. This was when it was revealed that his former staffer, who's now his wife, Vicky Campion, was pregnant with his child. And it always, to this day, amazes me that there were journalists and politicians saying, this is his private life, it's not for media consumption. That is absolute BS. He was their champion on family values. He voted against the same-sex marriage because same-sex marriage would destroy the sanctity of marriage. And yet there he is, cheating with his staffer and having a baby, no less. But we don't have a right to know that as people who are voting for him based on his family values and the things this man stands for. See, I'm quite the opposite with you. I don't think we should know anything about celebrities. Their private lives, they go in, they make a movie, they become famous, and we intrude on their lives something shocking. But elected officials, people we are choosing to represent us, we think their private lives are off limits? I don't get that at all. If anything, more scrutiny should be put on their private lives. Affairs, health issues, we should know it all so that when we're voting for them, we know who we're really voting for.